Let us go ahead and share our slides.
Right.
So first of all, my name is Jen Robinson, and with me today, as you mentioned, is Tyler Renslow. We are truly honored to be with you today and very excited to talk to you about applying artificial intelligence to remote services to enhance the use of hearing implants. Now, just before we get started, just to let you know that Tyler and I are both affiliated and employed by Medill. Tyler is a computational linguist, research scientist, and I am an audiologist and senior product manager. We both live in Innsbruck, Austria, where the Medill headquarters are. So having said that, let's move on. You know, if you think about it, modern technology is really exploding. If you think about the fields of medical technology like pacemakers, home dialysis, pain management, all of these fields have cutting edge technology that's being used to improve the life of a patient. I found this diagram of a bionic man, and just a few aspects that I thought were quite interesting in terms of new developments. Things such as a wireless brain-computer interface, synthetic tissue adhesive, robotic leg prosthesis, flexible electrodes that record brain activity, microneedle patches, and cartilage regeneration. All of these aspects are very exciting when it comes to modern technology. But if you think about it for a second, and this particular person, all of these devices are going to need follow-up. They're going to need time where the patient goes to the clinic, the devices are connected, tested, fitted. It also is time for the professional. So when we incorporate remote services that can treat, so to speak, and fit and test these devices remotely, that can ease the burden for the patient. Not only in travel, but think about children as an example. Children that cannot report if something's not working well. So that's where not only remote services, but artificial intelligence can be a big benefit to make the use of the device better for all. Now, we are an active medical device manufacturer. We manufacture cochlear implants that help people hear again. And even though we're going to focus on this particular device, it really, everything that we're going to talk about today, we feel applies to general telemedicine. So again, even though we're focusing on one device, it's applicable across medical fields. So having said that, when we think about developing new services, we look at trends in personalized medicine, trends such as device implantation, remote care, 3D printing, surgical robots, gamification, and genomic personalized medicine. And taking these trends, then going to the individual. The individual themselves has values, needs. For example, reducing the time that it takes to travel to the office, reducing cost, giving therapeutic value to the patient. And looking at these values or needs of our patients, then we take the next step, looking into the anatomy and the physiology of a patient. What you see here on the slide is a blown up picture of the inside of the cochlea being the inner ear organ that basically takes sound, turns it into an electrical impulse so that the brain can then interpret that as sound. And as we learn more and more about the anatomy and physiology, we can enhance services, remote services, and using artificial intelligence with that. For example, the picture that you see again is another view of the cochlea. In the cochlea, the frequency or pitch is matched to a particular place within the cochlea. So the more that we know about this for an individual, the better that we can design our implants to stimulate in the right area for the patient to hear sound better, and then ultimately have better performance with their implants. And this is just another view that we're seeing now of the anatomy. So now that we have the customer's needs and we know the anatomy and physiology, we can turn that into technology that helps the patient. And one such technology that is now being used is called Otoplan. Otoplan is a surgical planning software where surgeons can take CT scans and incorporate that into the software. Then the software, starting to use artificial intelligence, can take the imaging, learning from a lot of data that's been incorporated, to produce 3D modeling. Why is that important? Well, the 3D modeling can then help surgeons plan better in terms of their trajectory of inserting the electrode into the cochlea. This all can be done now remotely, meaning that we can have scans sent to a software where the planning aspect can be done by the software, and then that information can be given back to the surgeon to help enhance them with implanting the cochlear implant. So taking, as I said, the individual themselves, the anatomy, the physiology, and then using technology can really enhance that aspect for an individual. So looking specifically at a cochlear implant patient's journey, there are several steps along the way. And what we do is we look at these different steps in their journey and see how we can take technology and apply that to help them. So I've spoken as an example about how we can apply technology in terms of remote services and artificial intelligence to the surgical stage, so to speak. Now I'd like to hand it over to my colleague Tyler, who's going to talk to you about another stage in the customer journey, rehabilitation, and how we can use this technology in rehab. And with that, Tyler, I hand it over to you.
Thanks so much, Jen. Appreciate it. Короче, на русском меня зовут Tyler, а я разработчик компании Medel. But my presentation will actually be in English. But I just wanted to say hello to everybody with my little bit of Russian skills here.
Your Russian is great. Really. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I have quite a lot to cover today, so I will just jump right into it. Like I said in Russian, my name's Tyler. I'm a developer at Medel, and I work in the AI team. And I want to talk about our remote rehabilitation platform called Ready. And I'm going to start by kind of illustrating why we started this project. And then I want to show kind of a demo, how it works in the real world. And then I would like to kind of also show, where we have some struggles. but given these struggles, where we plan or where we see our future going with this project. So to start with the motivation, as was mentioned before, I'm part of the AI team, and we're kind of a multidisciplinary team here at MED-EL in the research department. Our main expertise is in computer science, but we have a lot of shared experience in artificial intelligence. And I personally have a lot of experience in linguistics and languages. So given all these skills that we have, like we tried to look at the beginning of our project a few years ago, where can we provide the most value to both our customers and the company as a whole. And basically what we came up with was that when you know a lot about AI, you can start to move into the digital sphere with services. So whereas like Jen was mentioning before, a lot of times you would have to have people in the actual place looking at CT scans or something in order to provide their expertise. That expertise can now be encoded in AI systems, and it can have an effect across the world. You don't necessarily have to be physically available now everywhere. And so we see sort of from this that we can start to not only digitalize some of our rehabilitation services in MED-EL, but also we can help our customers post-op, not only rehabilitation, potentially other things like fitting. And also we can help out the professionals a little bit and provide them a little bit more insight into how the patients are performing with their implants, and also the other hearing solutions that MED-EL offers. And so we came up with Ready. And like I mentioned before, Ready is a digital rehabilitation platform. And we have some main goals of this project that we like to achieve with AI and with digitalization and with remote services. One of them is that, and this I'll show a demo shortly, what's coming up, but patients can kind of train their speech and hearing using a mobile device. And this mobile device provides them then immediate feedback on how well or maybe where they're falling short of their hearing and their speech after being implanted. But what's nice about this mobile solution is that you get you afford the patient a bit of autonomy. So some patients, that we've heard from them that they're maybe a little bit shy to go to a speech and language therapist, for example. They don't want to make mistakes in front of another person. So the mobile app allows them to practice in the comfort of their home without anybody around, and then they still get to train and improve their speech and hearing. Because this is a fully digital solution, not only do the patients have access to the main platform as a whole, but also the professionals. So yes, the mobile app solution is fully automated. However, when that automation falls short, as I'm sure you guys have experienced with any sort of computerized system, it's not perfect. And that's the point when you need to get the experts in. So we also provide a web interface into the platform that allows professionals to jump in and kind of steer the journey of the patient as they go along. And with both of these fields, both the digital automated system and also the personal touch from a professional, we are attempting to offer a fully adaptable, individualized, personalized solution for the patients. How we as a company benefit from that is we get a lot of insight. We can, as the patients are interacting with the app and as the professionals are giving their expertise, we can take note of that as we go on, do lots of telemetry, and then we can do a bit of data analysis to get kind of an oversight into how well patients are performing with their hearing solutions. This is kind of getting into the demo, but I want to first speak a bit high level about what we're doing. This part of the conference I know is related to AI. I know there's also a part of the conference that speaks a bit about bioinformatics. And interestingly enough, we also incorporate that a bit into our system as well. So I'll speak high level about the fields we're using, and then we'll get into the demo and I'll show you that in action. So we're using automatic speech recognition and natural language processing. This is to do kind of the language and the speech analysis of our patients. And also in this speech analysis, we have sequence alignment, and that's an algorithm that comes from bioinformatics. On the other side, we're also producing both spoken and written speech using natural language generation. So we have a text-to-speech system running, and we're also currently developing a recommendation system, which will start to generate tasks for our patients to perform. So what does this look like in action? I mentioned our mobile interface earlier. This is a bit what it looks like, and this is we're speaking about the scenario of a speaking exercise. So the patient is played something that they're supposed to say, and I'll go ahead and play that for you now.
Сейчас 5 часов.
And this is produced by AI, by an AI system. And what's really nice about it is we didn't have to get a professional voice actor or something to get it in a studio and spend all this time recording, because there's not many, for example, Russian speakers here in Innsbruck, and we have to somehow, if we want to reach other regions and languages, we have to be able to start somewhere. And this is where we started with the spoken language generation here. And then now we have the speech exercise. The user or the patient is using the app. They have an example of how they're supposed to say it. And then they can go ahead and speak into the app. And I'll play for you me speaking into the app.
Сейчас 5 озер.
Yeah, as you may be wondering, I said it a little bit wrong at the very end. And I did that on purpose so I can show you a little bit about how the speech analysis works. So this speech is then fed into a speech recognizer, and then that's further broken down into its spoken component part. So in linguistics, we call these phonemes, and that's what you see here listed. And also this alignment algorithm is here in place. So I lined up all the words that were expected of the user, сейчас 5 часов. And then what I said, сейчас 5 озер. And then you can see the first two words, they line up perfectly because they're the same, everything's good. However, in the third word, things were a little bit off. You have some vowels that were maybe not pronounced correctly, some added consonants, some missing consonants, and so on. So what you can do with all of this is you can create kind of a quantitative score of what the person said. And here I would give the person maybe 66% for the two correct words, and then an extra bit on top because the vowels were close. So let's give them 70%, for example. And now we've recorded all these metrics. We've recorded other parameters, such as whether the person is single-sided deaf or if they're bilaterally implanted. And all of these parameters are then fed into a recommendation engine. And this is, like I said before, we're working on developing this. And this recommendation engine would then spit out the next exercise that they're supposed to do. So the person is not hearing the last word properly. So we want to spit out something that has that same last word, but maybe put in a different context that helps them to succeed in this sort of scenario. So that's a bit about how the platform works. That's where all the magic happens, basically. It's very simple interface, but a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes. And I think I can just kind of jump over this slide. I think I've mentioned about all of this so far. It's just a kind of recap of what I was saying. The main point to focus on here is that we kind of have a tailored solution for each individual based on their performance with their hearing and their speaking, a system that adapts to their needs. Another thing that I would like to demonstrate or to speak about is we've had, since I believe the beginning of the year, a very successful collaboration with Dr. Karolova in St. Petersburg. And we worked together, she and I, and also my colleague Doran, we worked together to produce some Russian language content for Ready. And I would like to show you a video here where she's actually using the app in action.
Я сейчас включаю. Послушайте, что скажет.
Извините, как туда пройти?
Извините, как туда пройти?
Прекрасно. Можно нажать. Повторите точно.
Мгм.
Повторяйте.
Господи, еще раз повторить
Да.
надо будет, да? Извините, как туда пройти?
Сейчас он распознает практически все.
Мгм.
Ой, стоп. Извините. Послушаем следующий. Правильно? Слушаем.
До встречи.
До встречи.
Да, точно.
Увидимся завтра.
Увидимся завтра.
Отлично. Спасибо.
Okay, so that was a little bit of a demonstration of the app in action. We're very, very thankful for the collaboration with Dr. Kolayova and also the rest of her colleagues in St. Petersburg there at the clinic. It's been quite exciting working with him, and we're proud that we can support the Russian-speaking market with our platform. So I just have a couple more slides to wrap up with, and then I'll turn it back over to Jen. I spoke a lot about some ideals, but I also think maybe it's interesting for the practitioners among us attending this conference to also know where the challenges are. And there's a chance that these have already been mentioned in previous presentations because they're quite common when you get into AI systems in the medical field. And one of the things about the AI systems that's difficult is that a lot of times they're based on statistical models, and these statistical models learn from lots of data points that they've seen in the past. And a lot of times they make decisions where a human would not really understand why they're making these decisions. And in the medical field, it's very important when it comes to a patient's health to have this concept of traceability back to where decisions were made, and if somebody's health is in danger or if they get hurt or something, it needs to come back there. And so that produces some regulatory hurdles, some regulatory difficulties there. And the other thing about these systems maybe making incorrect assumptions or incorrect decisions is maybe in this recommendations system example that I was talking about before, maybe it suggests a task that's way too hard for the patient, which could potentially demotivate them. And yeah, I didn't want to paint this beautiful rosy picture about everything. There's also challenges involved. However, I still think despite the challenges that overall the benefits outweigh the costs in this case. It's just the important thing is to be aware of these challenges and then try to do everything in order to mitigate them as best as possible. So just a brief slide about where we're headed. Basically, from the research side, one main topic that we would like to pick up on is speech distortion detection. So all the Russian speakers know that in the Russian language, it's quite difficult to learn the R sound. And a lot of people go to speech therapists to learn the rolled R sound. I myself have difficulty with it speaking Russian, and I could probably use the app to train a little bit. But this is something that we want to more clearly identify. In a word where an R would be wrong, we would know that the word is wrong, but we want to know at that precise point where that R is not being correctly pronounced. Another thing that we would like to do is we would like to kind of use this recommendation engine to suggest when it might be good for the patient to speak to a professional. And also on the other side, when a professional, maybe they get a notification saying, hey, could you please look at patient A here or patient B there and check in with them and check these sounds. And maybe next time you meet in person, focus on these sounds. And then their time is a lot more efficiently spent when they have face-to-face time. The final point I would like to make here is that we want to continue to build out our remote services for patients after implantation. So what we do quite well, I think, is that we can provide kind of a mirror to the patients and show them like how well they're doing with their speech and hearing. But what we want to continue to provide or provide further is materials that will empower the patients to do better the next time. What do they need to change about their mouth position or their tongue position? What do they need to focus on when they're hearing, and so on and so forth. And also, it would be quite nice to serve our younger patients among us and make a more child-friendly interface, but that adds its own challenges there because these speech recognition systems are not always robust to children's speech. So that's something that we would have to further develop in the future. But we're looking forward to it. We're excited about these topics, and we're excited to see where this digital platform goes. So with that, I'm going to hand it back to Jen, and she's going to finish us up here.
Thanks, Tyler. So what's next? You know, we've spoken today about the cochlear implant, but as I said in the beginning, really the challenges that and the benefits that we see, they apply to many fields in medicine moving forward. Specifically thinking about the cochlear implant and the patient using that, going back to the customer journey, Tyler had hinted to this. When we look at automating some of these aspects and finding ranges where the patient may, how do I say, fall out of the range and alert a professional to help this patient that's remotely given. That we feel that with artificial intelligence, that need for professional intervention can be less and less, meaning that for 80% of the patients out there will get to a point where they can be treated with remote services without any problem and enhance themselves. That would allow then professionals to really focus on that, let's say, other 20% that need more help or that have more challenges. And so this is something that we will continue to further develop in aspects such as fitting the device so that we have automated testing that happens on the cochlear implant, and then that's fit into a system that will then provide starting points for the patient in terms of hearing, as an example. Another example that we're looking at and going a little bit broader, so to speak, is we all are aware of the technology that's being developed in other fields. And I give the example of digitalizing your home, where you can control different aspects through the touch of your phone. Well, how does that relate to the field we're speaking about? And that is, if you think about it, someone that has a cochlear implant may not hear a doorbell, or they may not hear their alarm to wake them up in the morning. So we can then connect with the services within their home to enhance the quality of life for these individuals. So with that, we're really excited about the direction that we're going, that direction where we're incorporating artificial intelligence into our remote services. Our goal is communication. Our goal is to enhance our patients with regards to communication and improve that aspect, but to do it in a way that you know, improves other aspects of their life, that they don't have to be in the clinic all the time, and that they have devices that are functioning properly. And if there's a problem, that can be taken care of quickly and that they don't have to continue on with that. So with that, Tyler and I would like to thank you for your attention. It has really been an honor for us to be with you today, and we invite if there are any questions that anyone may have. Thank you again.
Спасибо большое.
Спасибо. Thank you so much for your presentation. It was very exciting and insightful. And we have questions from chat. So Jennifer, did you check an efficiency of surgery after 3D modeling?
That is something that we are looking into. We are seeing that so far the results are showing us an improvement with regards to, say, younger, less experienced surgeons. It is also data that we can feed in, and I mentioned this briefly, with regards to surgical robotics. So to take the information that we're learning from experienced surgeons and incorporating that into a surgical robot, so to speak.
Yeah, I see. Thank you. And yeah, I was wondering, what is your perspective of ethics of smart implants? So it will be, good for society and not lead to privilege.
In terms of the ethics of it, it's something that we're hoping that this technology, and if I'm understanding your question correctly, we're hoping the technology and applying the technology to in developing the technology that could be used for all. I'm not sure if I understood your question correctly.
Yeah, but the devices may be rather expensive. Yeah, so.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, sorry. That is something that we're working with different regulatory body and governmental agencies around the world. Because if we can, and you know, the Reedy app is an example of this, if we can show that the devices take less professional time, that the patients develop better on their own, then we have to, the surgical aspect and the implantation costs money, but the follow-up care for that would be a lot less expensive. So, and there's a lot of research out there to support that once somebody is implanted, the benefit that they can give to society as a whole.
I see. Yeah, thank you. And last question, Jennifer Tyler, thanks for your presentation from our guests. And was the app platform software approved by CA under MDR or FDA?
All of the above.
All of the above.
Our software and our medical devices, we work with and have devices approved for MDR, for FDA and CA. So we work with all regulatory bodies around the world